Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to a recording from the Clubhouse archives, and this room in particular was titled, "Are Christians Aspiring Terrorists?" The reason behind this question is to kind of show a mirror at Christians who, for some reasons, don't realize that they are kind of behaving like Muslims, in the sense that somehow they wish they could commit the violence the Muslims commit in the name of their God or their religion. Because in the less than 2 years I've been online having back and forth with Christians, they always like to say these statements. Why don't you try that with Islam? And without realizing, they do not understand that they are sending a message that somehow they endorse the violence of Islam, and if they could do it in the name of their God, they would. But fortunately, ironically, thank God for Jesus. So this room was to probe that, to ask them that question and see their reaction. And as usual, we got different replies: funny, annoying, and a lot of bullshit here and there. So please, if you have not subscribed, Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, other places where podcasts are available. So let's go and listen to the recording of the Clubhouse room that was titled, "Are Christians Aspiring Terrorists?"
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
What's up?
Welcome. All right, John.
Yeah, what's up?
I do.
Hello, everyone.
Let's see how this goes today.
Hello, everybody. Good evening.
Yeah.
Hi.
Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so
hope I'm audible enough.
very nice. You're always audible. Okay, so let us begin officially. While those that are watching board, you'll join us later. All right, so hello, brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ. Hello, heathen that are going to hellfire. Today, we are discussing a topic that's been on my mind for quite a while. Since I came online to this app on Twitter, this topic has come on my mind, which is, are Christians aspiring terrorists? Because a lot of Christians are just a few steps away from the Boko Haram that they hate, the Boko Haram that they condemn, but they don't realize it. So I hope to help at least one Christian realize that today. At least one.
Sorry,
Please.
I missed that. Help one Christian realize what?
Realize that they are possibly an aspiring terrorist and they don't realize it.
Can you elaborate?
Yes, I'm going to do that. All right, so everybody mute. Let's go on this interesting ride. So someone will see this question now and be like, what is this again? These atheists have come again. What's wrong with this goddamn? Let's just leave us alone. Yeah. First of all, they came with God is a rape apologist or rapist. Now Christians are aspiring terrorists. Like, now they mad. Now, at face value of this topic, your reaction, if you are pissed off, is very normal. It's very normal, but let me explain why I think a large number of Christians are aspiring terrorists and don't realize it. Now, you have come across an atheist like me who will come and say shit about religion, about God, on Twitter, on Clubhouse, and you might engage with them. And it can end up, arguments and abuses. It's very easy for it to turn into abuses. Especially me, I know I'm guilty of that. But there's always one phrase I've seen people making. It's either there are different variations. It can be, try that with Islam, and you will see. Or can you try that with Islam? Or is it because Jesus Christ said, turn the other cheek, and so on and so forth? Different variations. And If you have ever said that out loud, or you have tweeted it, or even thought that in your mind, let me break the news to you. You are an aspiring terrorist, but you don't realize. Because the reason why you would think that we cannot dare such with Islam Muslims, because they have a reputation of assaulting or killing anyone who blasphemes. They have that reputation. And it's like somehow you are fantasizing that it could be possible for Christianity to do that. See, Muslims will cast a bullet on this, so sorry to Muslims. But one thing I would like to say is, if you, a puny human in comparison to your God, have to come in any form of defense for your God, you are further proving to we, the unbeliever, that your God is utterly powerless and useless. That action of defense, whether by trying to abuse someone or trying to somehow just attack them, how do I put it now? Somehow you wish you could attack them physically, because I get that vibe a lot on this app. You are proving your God is powerless and useless. Because you guys sing a lot, let God arise and his enemies be scattered. Let God arise. He's the one that should be offended. Let him, let's leave him to strike the bloody atheist that is insulting him. Let him arise. Someone like me is his enemy. Let him scatter me in peace, not you. Because if I say, fuck God the Father, fuck God the Son, fuck God the Holy Spirit, let the Holy Spirit strike me down the way he struck what's their name? Ananias and Sapphira. Because those guys just lied to him. I categorically said, fuck the Holy Spirit and should suck my tiny dick. That is insult against the Holy Spirit. Let him strike me down, not you. Let him fight, not you. You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. This has been your neighborhood blasphemer, the Ranting Atheist. So, who is next? John, PTR order.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ranting. All right, hello everyone. I hope you are having a nice weekend. Yeah, so I just want to explain. I think Ranting has tried to explain the sentiment behind the topic, but I'll just give my perspective. So I want you to just see this as an encouragement for you to encourage criticism of beliefs or ideas or ideologies. I don't think anyone should use violence to suppress criticism of their beliefs. I think that is something that is very backwards. So whenever we're having such conversations and you begin to say that, oh, try that with soul religion, or I know you can't do that with a particular religion because you know what they will do to you. It seems like at least you are endorsing that behavior. You are trying to when you say things like that, it seems like you are endorsing such behavior. So that's why we're having this question. So at least if you come on if you come on stage to speak, I would really be glad if I could hear you condemn such behaviors. At least if you say things like, oh, you're free to criticize beliefs, and you don't think it's good for people to use violence to suppress criticism, and at least correct Christians that say such things, right? So that's why we're having this conversation. So it's going to be I hope it's going to be a very very interesting conversation. I hope it's going to be orderly. I hope there is not going to be too much violence here. And yeah, thank you for coming. So, Ranting, should we go ahead with the PTR order?
Yeah.
Tobore, do you want to say anything? Okay, all right. So, the first person on the PTR is Tope. So, oh, sorry, Annie is up there and she has not gone. So, Annie, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. So you have 3 minutes to make your submission. Thank you.
Okay, so I necessarily don't consider myself an atheist, or I don't even know where I stand, but I just know that after a while I stopped going to church and stopped necessarily believing in the whole religion thing. But one thing that has always stood out to me when I have conversations, and for me, it's not even a case of trying to trigger violence in anybody. But sometimes it might just be as simple as me minding my business on a Sunday, and someone is asking me, "Oh, so why did you go to church?" And I say, "Oh, I don't go to church anymore." And you know how that conversation goes. It turns into, "Oh, so why did you stop going to church? Blah, blah, blah. Are you angry with God?" And I don't want to have to explain or defend myself every other time when I say I stopped going to church. I mean, I don't move around asking people, "Oh, so why are you going to church on Sunday?" But for some weird reason, I don't get that same level of respect. It's now somebody has to try and preach to me when I'm not going around trying to actively preach to anyone and tell them, "Oh, you should stop going to church because I feel this particular way and I have a lot of questions." So it's I don't even try to trigger violence, but the very moment I say, "Okay, these are the questions that I have, and can you actually give me very logical answers?" They start getting very upset, very angry. I was in a vehicle and we're having conversations, and somehow the conversation delved into a religious conversation, and we started talking. It was just like a miracle that we actually did not have an accident that day, because they were so mad. They were yelling at the top of their voices, "Can you say this in the north? Can you say this in the north? You cannot talk to Muslims like that." And at a point, I had to tell them, there's no difference between you and this Boko Haram guys. The only difference is that you don't have a gun. You don't have access to a gun. Because the way you people are reacting right now, if you actually did have a gun, you would shoot me.
Straight.
And then one of them says, he's defending God, that he cannot keep quiet. And I'm like, honestly, it doesn't make sense to me when you say, "Oh, this is a supernatural being, and then he needs you, that he's human, to actually defend him." I mean, I wasn't even saying anything bad. I was actually asking honest questions, and then everybody was triggered and so upset. And it felt like if they could actually beat me, they would have gone out of their way to beat me. And it was I'm like, and you people cannot see it. You actually do not do any form of self-reflection to say, "Okay, this is not rational behavior. This is not even normal behavior," and they're okay with it. They tell you, "Oh, you cannot talk about my God like that," and they're all very angry. And I'm like, okay, so if you have access to weapons and somebody talks about your God like that, obviously you're going to shoot them, and you're going to rationalize it and say, "Oh, well, they were saying something that I didn't like about," like, honestly, I don't know what it is about a religion that actually inspires so much violence. I don't get it. And someday, and I'm hoping that maybe this room will be able to figure out what the exact problem is that makes it that when you start having this sort of conversations, it gets so angry and all the threats are pouring in, and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do?
All right, thank you very much for your submission, Annie. Yeah, I just want to quickly say that I encourage people to learn to separate their beliefs from themselves, right? So if someone says, for instance, someone tells you that you are a stupid person, you are immoral, you are crazy, that is a personal attack. I do understand getting upset for that type of statement. But if someone comes and the person says, "Hey, why do you believe this thing? I don't really think it's true. I don't find it logical. Can you please give me your reasons?" I don't think you should get upset at that type of thing. So, yeah, if you would like to say anything to what Annie just said, can you please flash your mic? Okay, Isel only. All right, Isel, you have the floor since there's nobody else flashing the mic. All right, Orelu, I see you as well. Isel, please go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Okay, cool. Hi everyone. Hi Annie. I think your assessment is very valid, and I'm a Christian myself, and I don't see how bringing another religion into a conversation it doesn't make any sense. And you're right. If God is all powerful, so why does he need any human being to I feel like the Bible is quite clear And there's quite a really good quote by a chap called Charles Spurgeon, who was like I think a priest or back in the day, like hundreds of years. And he said that the gospel is like a caged lion, like he doesn't need anybody, like the gospel doesn't need anyone to defend it. You just need to just let it out. So just be yourself, be like, and I feel like when people are speaking, there's no need to even get violent. Like all of that is very unnecessary, and it actually paints the whole Christianity and Christians in general to be in a bad light, because it's not rational, I feel like, to be violent. I mean, I'm confused. So if that's what your experience, then I think that's a bit strange. So yeah, that's all I have to say on the matter for now.
All right, thank you very much, Israel. Oreolua, you're flashing your mic. Please go ahead.
I just quickly wanted to say that maybe it's just me, because I love to treat these situations with empathy, because I was once heavily indoctrinated. So when I see people acting that way, I understand that is what indoctrination does to you, like childhood indoctrination. And I do see childhood indoctrination as a form of abuse, but that is a long story in itself. But I try to have a sense of empathy. And if you respond to them with a sense of empathy, they are likely to cool down, because in situations that have been like that, once I say I understand how it feels to have your whole worldview challenged, but it is no place for making noise. Like once you respond with empathy like that, I feel like they would begin to see your point of view. Because of the whole angry atheist stereotype, they are so, their body is gingered. So that's just what I wanted to respond.
All right, thank you very much for that, Oreolua. Tope, are you there? Do you want to give your submission now?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
All right. I doubt I'll take up to 3 minutes. So, a Christian aspiring terrorist? I would think so. Now, I'm going to feed off of what Oreolua said. I'm going to say the statement I said to you, because I don't think it was mean. But I remember one time, saying to a friend, and then I think I actually wrote it on Twitter. I said, when I left Christianity, I became a more compassionate person. And for some reason, that tweet went viral. I had people sending me messages in the DM that I'm going to die in a car crash. God is going to kill me.
Wow.
What do I mean? And I, like almost everybody that, sent me, mentioned me, I tried to explain where, while I was in Christianity, it was more of how you should act. And then when I came out, I genuinely felt for people, and I remember one telling me I should just give it 24 hours, I'll be dead,
Wow.
And I was taken aback, but the effect of that slowly made me angry, and there was a period where I was very angry against Christians, because I didn't insult your God. I just said I became a better person. I don't think that is a slander. I became more compassionate. I didn't even say I became a better, but I don't think it warrants the slander that I got. And of course, I don't know if you know. Of course, everybody would know about Bala's case, and again, that was another fight I got into
I
on
don't know.
Twitter. Where
Can you elaborate?
Hello?
Sorry.
Can you hear
I don't know
me?
about that case. So if you could elaborate,
Hello?
that would be helpful.
Hello, Tope, I can hear you. She said you should talk more about Bala's case, as she doesn't know about it.
All right. So Bala wrote on Facebook. I think he said something about the Muslim religion, Prophet Muhammad being a terrorist, something like that. Anyway, he was lured to he was arrested by the Nigerian police. Until today, we don't know where he is. I mean, his lawyers, he has at the time he just gave birth to a child. I mean, his wife just gave birth to a child. They took him. Until today, we don't know where he is. For a long time, they kidnapped him actually from Kano, took him down to Kaduna. And then, his lawyer was going back and forth and then before you know it, he went off the radar. So today, we don't know where he is. And it's not like he went to a Congress. It was a Facebook post that he put. Anyway, on Twitter, different people were saying things like, it's good for him. He cannot hold his mouth. And I'm like, first of all, he didn't insult anybody. No, let me not even go there. he said Muhammad is a terrorist. Muhammad has been dead for God, goodness knows how long, but like I don't think he went against a human being. Okay, maybe it's their. But anyway, long story short, people were justifying why he should be taken away, and Christians were adding to the conversation. And here I was again. Somebody was saying it would be good for him if he's killed, and I'm like, are you mad? It's someone's life. You can't be what so you are okay with them treating someone. I just couldn't comprehend it. So they show traces of violence that come somehow terrorist region. So yeah, for the most part, I honestly think that they are aspiring terror. If the more I think about it, the more I realize if they are giving guns and weapons, it's just a matter of time. They will strike someone. Yeah, I've seen videos, one or two videos on Twitter. Okay, no, these were Muslims that said that we are not, like, atheists are not human beings, that we should all be killed. Yeah, so when you hear Christians make statements that are implying, come on, well, I have no choice but to assume that if they are given a choice, they will kill someone like me. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much, Tokwe, for your submission. Is there anyone that wants to say anything maybe in addition or in response to what Tokwe just said? Yeah, so I even Tokwe said something that I didn't even touch on before. So apart from people that try to say that, usually say things like try that with Islam, there are also Christians that say things like, don't worry, when God deals with you, you will come running back to him. They say things like, don't worry, when God like they sort of have this idea that God is going to do terrible things to people that don't believe. And I think that is quite relevant to what we are talking about here. That also paints a very negative image of your God. Like, if you're trying to invite someone to your religion, I don't think that is a nice way to go. And in fact, before I allow Ranting, I can see you flashing. Before I allow Ranting, then Oreoluwa to go, and Justin, I'm going to read a tweet I saw yesterday, and I'll read it just now. So the person says, Jesus is coming back soon to kill his enemies, unbelievers, faggots, feminists, liberals, sodomites, Marxists, Jews, and other Bible-hating Christ rejectors. So that is the type of that's exactly the type of thing I am talking about, and I don't think that is the type of behavior we should encourage. So Ranting, please go ahead. Then Rolua will go. Then Justin will.
Yeah. In response to that, what you said about them wishing God will do this. Honestly, I don't mind that, because I know their God can't do shit. They are more powerful than their God, to be honest. They can make more impact than their God. So if they pray their God will kill me, please continue praying. But don't come with me with a gun or knife. Don't try and ruin my life. I know you are more powerful. Christians are more powerful than their God. And they are also more moral than their God. But nonetheless, pray your God kills me. But please don't come and kill me. It is that simple.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Oreoluwa, you have 1 minute. Please go ahead. Oreoluwa, are you there? Okay, I'll just go to Justin. Justin, you have 1 minute. Stop, I can see you. Justin, please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I was here. I was struggling to unmute my mic. So sorry for that.
Okay, no problem.
What I wanted to say to that is, I just find it funny that Christians are so quick to say God will punish you. I think that lends itself to the idea that God is not omnibenevolent. He is not all good. And I think that's one of the reasons that I was able to step away from the religion, realizing that God is not all good. He is evil. Anyways, like the Ranting Atheist said, don't use your own power. Let God fight your battles, because we know that God cannot fight.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, Justin, please go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Okay, what I feel like this question, are Christians aspiring terrorists? Seems like from what I'm getting from you guys is that Christians.
I'm sorry, Justin. sorry. You're going to have your time to, like, you are going to have 3 minutes to talk on the topic. This
Okay.
time is just for people that want to respond to the last things that were said. So are you responding, or you want to, like, respond to the topic?
Okay, I forgot what you said exactly. I was going to respond generally to what you guys were saying in general.
Okay.
So
Oh, please
I
go
was
ahead.
going
You
to.
have 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like you guys are more feeling that there is emotional terrorism, where Christians say things like God is going to punish you and this and that, and it's more about how they're made.
Hello.
I hear like actual destruction where lives are taken and things are destroyed, but it's more so you guys feeling like emotionally damaged by Christians, not like real terrorism. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, yeah. So to that, before I move ahead, it's just, this is the thing, right? Like, when you say those type of things, and this is what we're addressing. When you say those type of things, it seems like you aspire to do that type of thing, like that is what you wish for. And if you had the power, like if such people were in places of power where they could maybe make the lives of other people miserable for criticizing their beliefs, they would do it. That's what we are asking. Like, that's what we hear when we say this type of things. We know that it's not the same thing as actually taking up a gun to go and kill someone, but it just sounds like that is what the person wishes, and that's what we are trying to address. Topper, you wanted to say something again. Please go ahead. Topper, are you there?
All right,
Okay.
so I'm here. I for a moment, I kind of lost my thoughts. If I get it back out, I would flash again.
All right, no problem. Is there any other person that wants to say anything in addition before I move on with the PTR order? I will take that for a no. All right, Azel, please, you have your 3 minutes to give yours. Oh, sorry, Banky, you want to say something?
Yes, thanks for inviting me down here. Sorry, please be mindful. I'm quite new on Clubhouse. I'm still trying to figure these things out. Anyway, on the discussion on the topic, and hearing Rant, I think it's Rant's submission as to how he led the conversation. I kind of understand where he's coming from by likening Christians of that kind of mindset, or making that reference to Muslims and whatnot, to liking them to terrorists. I'm gonna take, or let me say, my opinion is similar to Oreoluwa's submission, and that's the way I approach these things, having been a Christian for the majority of my life as well. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't, I'm totally flushed of the beliefs of all the Christianity and things like that. But I know that I set the foundation of who I've become. And there's a certain way I viewed Christianity back at home and how I lived, the Christian life up until recently, when I started questioning a lot of things, and, I started, separating myself from the religion and trying to figure out where I am. Anyway, long story short, the way I look at it now, I look at it from an empathetic view as well, because I've been there before, so I can understand how and why people react a certain way. Christianity back at home in Nigeria, especially, has always been viewed as, or Christians, let me put it that way, they've always seen their religion as a superior religion, as a kinder religion, as a more lenient religion. Hence why they make that, that assertion when they say, "Oh, can you try this with Muslims?" Because Muslims have been quite more violent over the years. But again, I think, like somebody said, I think it was Arolua that said it again. Religion, the way we've always practiced it, and I know this is a general world phenomenon. It's not even just in Africa alone. It's a form of indoctrination. It's a conditioning of your mind. And if something is fed to you for long enough, it becomes a belief. It becomes a way of life. It becomes what you defend with your being. And I've not actively provoked anyone or actively condemned anyone for coming against Christianity, but I understood, or I understand now, why people did in the past, and that people that have actually witnessed did in the past. So I think it's a bit extreme to say, just like the last person said. I think it was, I can't remember. I think it was Justin that said, to paint the analogy of terrorism, I think is a bit extreme. But at the same time, um, it's just what it is. Unfortunately, we all get into that age now where people are becoming more enlightened and people are questioning things, and unfortunately, people that are still in the dark in the context of them still being buried in their dogmatic way of thinking due to their religious beliefs, they haven't seen that light yet. So they will always come at you in a violent way. They don't have the capacity or the mental, or even to see a different perspective, to understand or to think for themselves because they're still thinking through the extremity of the religious beliefs that they've been fed all their lives. I mean, I for one, I've experienced a lot of doctrines in Nigeria. There's no church or no major church that we haven't been to. From the last I remember of which my dad always kind of like force fed me to go to was MFM. So and sometimes the prayers, and it's not even just about you going after somebody and harming them physically. The kind of prayer, the kind of prayer points that were being prayed, that I was made to pray back in the day, they were very uncomfortable. Like somebody said, how can you say you have a God and it's supposed to be benevolent and it's supposed to be kind, but at the same time, you're telling people to die. You're telling people to, you're confessing and professing that even if it's a member of your family, even if it's this, they need to die. And I'm thinking, that didn't make sense to me, But I know, similar to, a lot of us can relate to this. Where the buck stops, I don't know. But I think I understand why people are a certain way, and it will take a lot of reconditioning and unlearning, which sometimes it looks like a lost cause in the context of Nigerians, because they're still in that society. They still have that mindset, and unfortunately, it's going to take a long time to change, if it's going to ever change at all. So that's all I want to say.
All right, thank you very much for the submission, Banky. Is there anyone that wants to say anything in response to him? Okay, Ranting is flashing, Oreolua is flashing as well. All right. Before I allow Ranting and Oreolua go, I just want to quickly talk about my format of moderating. So, like you can see, this is the space, and the space is a group on Clubhouse where we have conversations. We have open conversations on different topics, and we try to encourage people to be intellectually honest. So I encourage you to like join the group so that you could get to listen to much more conversations like this. And I encourage you to to follow some of the members. Yeah. So Ranting, please go ahead, and Oreolua, please go ahead after him.
All right. Yeah. So I received the back channel, and someone said I should ask Banky that you said that calling Christians aspiring terrorists might be a bit extreme, but during colonization, would you consider our colonizers terrorists?
Absolutely. With what they've done with the religion, yeah, I'll call them terrorists. But it wasn't just a case of them verbally abusing us. They physically abused us as well. They force-fed us the religion. They caused bodily harms, and they raped us. So I don't see people that you are talking about in this context doing that. All they do is just verbally threaten you. So that's why I said it's a bit of an extreme to go as far as saying terrorists. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but the reason why they could do that because they had the means. They had the means. Most like here in Nigeria, access to weapons is not an easy task. So I think that's what's making someone like me safe.
Well, I can't really disagree with you, but at the same time, somebody I can't remember who was talking earlier, and they said they were in a bus, and there was this frantic conversation that happened, but they didn't get up. They could have punched her, they could have beaten her up. You didn't necessarily have to have a weapon to cause bodily harm to someone. So I think, again, not to say that there wouldn't have been people that probably gone as far as doing that, but generally, from my own personal experience in Nigeria, and knowing how Christians used to be up their ass about the Christianity thing, I've never seen it degenerate to that point whereby they started fighting people or causing physical bodily harm. They could take a stone, they could use a knife, they could use an axe, they could punch you, they could strangle you, and I just personally didn't see that.
Yeah, but I know pastors and evangelists are guilty of that. But thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Banky. I think you make a great point there. Orelua, please go ahead.
It's still in response to what Banky said that using terrorist is strong language. And I just quickly want to check the dictionary for the meaning of terrorist. And a terrorist is a person, group, or organization that uses violent action or the threat of violent action to further political goals. That's okay. Now, what is violence? Violence is extreme force, action that causes destruction, pain, or suffering, widespread fighting, injustice, wrong, ravishment, rape, violation. And I feel it is accurate to use terrorism in this case. For example, the legislation against LGBTQ people, it is violence. It is terrorism. And that's because those people are in a place of power to enact those laws. The Christians you see on a daily basis, they might not have that power, like what the Ranting Atheist said, but they are aspiring terrorists.
Okay. Well, let's agree to disagree then. But I'm still of the opinion that unless somebody is actually perpetrating or physically taking that action themselves, they can incite it, like you said. So they could be a part of terrorism, but I don't think somebody's saying, "My God is going to do this to you." As long as, like Rand said, the person is not taking any action. They're just saying or praying that their God is going to do something. And, in most cases, God has not, as it turned out to be, Rand is still here. So God has not stricken him dead yet. So, it's a bit of a gray area. But I understand where you're coming from. If you were just go by the literal context and the meaning of terrorism in the dictionary, I understand where you're coming from. But yeah, I just don't think it's black and white like that.
All right, thank you very much, Banky. Justin, I see you. I'll get to you and Tope as well. I just want to quickly say that I find that definition that Orelua gave, there is violence and there's also threat of violence there. So I just find that quite interesting. So quickly,
Hellfire.
I wanted to talk about the format that I'm using to moderate the room before. I guess that skipped my mind. So what I normally do is that I follow the PTR order. So when you just look at your screen, you can see the way your icon is arranged. So I follow that order, and I usually give 3 minutes to each speakers to make their submission, right? So after a speaker speaks, I would allow a maximum of 3 people to respond to them, and I'll give each person 1 minute. So that's the order I usually follow. Though right now I'm a bit more relaxed. I'm not that strict because there are not so many people on the stage. So that's why we're having the liberty to go freely as the way the conversation is going. But when we have so many people on the stage, I'll try to be more strict so that at least everybody else can get to speak. So please, Justin, go ahead then. Tope.
Yeah, I think actually making the term terrorism so broad that now everybody becomes a terrorist is also dangerous. Maybe the word dangerous is too much, but I think it would cause a slippery slope of just everyone being labeled a terrorist because someone felt threatened by an opinion or a feeling or just a belief in their God. So if someone says, hey, karma is going to get you, right? That person believes that the universe or somehow, events will balance itself out where if you do bad things are going to happen to you. Someone would take that as a threat and then say, well, hey, this guy's a terrorist because he made me feel terror. And that's a threat. And because he said those things, that means he wants to do it himself. Now, that means every single person on this panel is a terrorist at some point. At some point, you're insulting someone. At some point, you stated a belief about what's going to happen to Christians or Muslims or someone, gays, whoever. You said something negative about some group. That makes you a terrorist just as much as Christians or any other group. And now the word terrorism has no meaning because there is no difference between a person who commits physical violence of terrorism versus making just an insult or I guess making a statement of belief of what you think God is going to do or what's going to happen in the future. I think we're making words meaningless now.
Okay, Justin, can I ask you, could you define, first of all, have we defined what terrorism is?
I think somebody already did.
Yeah, already. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if Kechi, how are you? So if we are good. So if we have, I'm looking at the definition of terrorism, and Justin, what you just said doesn't really align with anything, because terrorism is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political arms. So someone saying karma is going to kill you is not an unlawful use of violence. Like, words have meaning, as you claim to say. So your examples and saying that people on this panel are terrorists because they say certain words doesn't actually make sense, because there are criteria for certain things to be deemed terrorists. And we know that Christians don't mind using violence and intimidation to spread their message. So I don't see the correlation between someone saying karma will kill you as terrorism and Christians actually having police power to influence.
The issue is that people were expressing their experience of Christians saying that God is going to punish you, or whatever God is going to do, they consider that terrorism. So I just use karma because karma is just believing punishment is going to happen to you without a God doing that.
Okay, if someone tells me God,
sorry, please. Can we just correct something? Banky and Justin are intentionally shifting the point. The point is not about God. The point is about Christians themselves referencing terrorist acts. And they're trying to mess up the point. Do not allow them to do this. This is what they do.
Poison the well, like
it's not about God. It's about Christians referencing terrorist acts.
Exactly. Because because if someone tells me God will punish me, it's not a terrorist threat. There's no police action behind it. Because God is just an ideology, a concept. So I don't feel threatened. But we know that Christians don't mind using violence. But let this be my submission. Christians are not aspiring terrorists. Christians are actual terrorists on their own. There's nothing aspiring about them. They are actually our terrorists. Christians, the only reason protecting us from Christians is that we live in most Christian nations per se are governed by secularism. That is the only thing protecting us. Because if you look at places like Ghana is legit passing an anti-gay law. So in Ghana, they now found out that they do not have enough police people, enough personnel, enough court services, enough rooms in their jails to jail people that will be guilty of the anti-gay laws. Guess what the church did in Ghana? The church offered themselves. The church offered to build prisons with their own money. This is people that barely have hospitals, right? The church offered to build prisons. The church in Ghana offered to create their own police system that will help the country arrest people that are guilty of the anti-gay laws. In Central African Republic, there is a group called Anti-Balaka. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Anti-Balaka. These people are actually practicing cannibalism on Muslims. Literally, they are practicing cannibalism on Muslims in the Central African Republic. Then you have in Uganda, where you have the Lord's Liberation Army, where there are also terrorist organizations. Look at places like Texas, and it's Christian Belt states in America, where they are using their religious beliefs to pass laws that are harmful to women and pass laws that are anti-LGBT nature. Look at Nigeria. So yes, I feel like the topic is not that good. I think it should have been Christianity and terrorism or something, not aspiring, because they have passed the aspiration stage. They're actually in the performance stage at this point. But anyways, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Sorry, Banky and Justin. Sorry, I would have to because we've been on this point for a while. So I'm so sorry. You'd have to wait and maybe give your submission later. Justin, maybe you could give your submission when it's your turn. Topic, do you want to say what you were flashing your mic to say before I move on with the PTR order? Tope, are you there?
You actually touched on it where Erelua was giving the definition, and she said also the threat of violence. So you touched on it.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so on my PTR order, I have Oreolua, Justin, then Chima. So Oreolua, please, you have your 3 minutes to give your submission now.
Yes. So what I really wanted to talk about are Christians aspiring terrorists. Yes, they are. Christianity has unfortunately been able to thread the fine line between being the accepting religion and yet still having the same ideologies as Muslim people. I think Muslim people get a lot of flack because, they are the most common examples of terrorism, but Christians have, I think they do what I would like to call covert violence because they are the ones that make the laws of most states in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like the Texas abortion ban law,
Network abusing me. Looks like it's me.
And of course, the example is just, I think Christians, I don't know how they do it. I feel it's a strong case of cognitive dissonance to come and say, oh, God loves you, but God loves you, except it's madness. I feel it is utter madness. But then, to reiterate my point about empathy, I do understand because I was one of those people. I was a closeted, I was closeted, and I would say things like faggots, burn all the faggots. So it is, yes, they are aspiring terrorists. There are other things I wanted to say, but I feel like I've said them and I do not want to repeat myself. So basically, that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. If you have anything to say in response to what Oreolua said, just flash your mic and I'll get to you. Okay, no one. So I got a message in my back channel and I would like to read it now if someone could maybe address what the person said. So I'll begin to read now. So it says, "Hi John, I am a Christian, and even though we're on different sides of belief, I appreciate the way you moderate the room about atheism. One thing I would like to raise is why haven't Christians started performing acts of physical terrorism? I think it would be useful to investigate what's holding them back. Why is Christian terrorism still a potential as opposed to actual, seeing as they have access to the same tools of violence other groups, religious and non-religious, have access to? Perhaps the broader question should be, why do people resort to violence when their beliefs are challenged? This happens on both sides, on both the atheist and the theist sides of the aisle." So is there anyone that wants to respond to that? Just flash your mic and I'll get to you. Ranting, Oreolua. Chima, can you please mute yourself if you're not speaking? All right, thank you very much, Chima. All right, so Ranting, please go ahead then, Oreolua. You guys have 1 minute.
All right, so
Add me to that as well.
Okay. All right,
no problem. Meanwhile, Ranting, please go ahead.
Okay, so why I think Christians haven't done that. The PR is bad for PR. Jesus has been presented as the love your neighbor, the kumbaya. It's basically like a hippie. Come on, man, let's love each other, man. It's all about love. Many times when we at these open rooms, when we try and criticize the God of the Old Testament, people say, I don't give a damn about that God. Jesus said, live your life according to Jesus. Live your life Jesus to love. So that PR, if they go Boko Haram mode, overtly, openly, it will spoil the PR and spoil the markets. That's basically it. Because that's actually why they do it. That's why they do the threat of violence / passive aggressive, wherein if they can hurt your source of income, they will do that. If they can hurt you, like in a way that's not really direct, they will do that. Although there are some that will go out of their way to give you a punch or two, or given the chance, shoot you. But Do you understand? That's why they go passive aggressive at least. And the reason why they get offended, try to fight for their God is, see, God is your ego. Your you see, Jesus is the religion has been, when you make God your personal friend, you get how dare you insult my friend. Your ego is hot. Christian's ego, when an atheist like me says fuck Jesus right now, your ego, and you're offended, your ego, that's your ego talking. God is your ego. You may not realize it, but your ego is hot. You have tied your ego to God, so you always be offended when someone like me says fuck Jesus. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ranting. So one thing I want to quickly say, I noticed the person said it goes both on the atheist and the theist side, like people using violence when their beliefs are criticized. I just want to say that I am an atheist, and I usually have such conversations, and I do follow other atheists that have such conversations, and I watch atheist content and all that, and I've rarely seen somebody an atheist getting so aggressive over atheism being criticized. I'm not saying that, like, I've had conversations where I got upset because of some things people said, but it didn't have anything to do with criticism of atheism, right? So I feel like there is a bit of, I don't really feel it's that equivalent, and I'll just put that there. So Oreoluwa, please go ahead.
Okay, so I would quickly touch on what you just said about, the difference between that. You cannot like make them equivalent for Christians or any religious person. Talking about their religion is like you are hitting their identity, and as the Ranting Atheist said, ego, identity, that is a big part of their identity. Most Christians center their life around Christianity. Their friends are Christians, their parents are Christians, the people that they know are Christians, etc. So it's about identity, and I understand being hit when somebody attacks your identity. Number two, when an atheist is getting angry like that, you see, it's usually in response to the nonsense that people use religion to justify. It's like, how can you justify such immorality? At least me, I am looking at it from my own perspective. When I read to people the stories in like Judges 19, etc., where part of it in Corinthians where Paul says women should not talk. The other part of it in Judges 19 where a man brought his concubine to be gang raped, and then she died at his footstep. Then he cut her into 12 pieces. I ask Christians, tell me, is this right? And somebody can justify these things. That's where I get angry. So it's not about you are hitting these things. How can you justify such immoral things?
All right, thank you very much, Orulu. I agree with you a lot. Yeah, Banky, I can see you. I'll get to you after Inwa. So Inwa, please go ahead.
My own is that I don't understand the question, but my own is he said that it's on both sides. So please, can that person tell us an atheist that has murdered people or used violence to propagate atheism? If that person could give us an example. Because you cannot just be saying things and be saying it's on both sides without giving credible examples. So can anyone, whoever asks that question, please back channel John and give him an example of an atheist that has used violence or the type of violence to propagate atheism. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Yeah, I hope you heard that. Please send examples to my back channel and I'll read them out. Banky, please go ahead. You have 1 minute.
I'm just going to say something quickly on the back of what you said, John, a couple of minutes ago regarding my submission as well as Justin's. I think it's a bit hypocritical that you just literally said a few seconds ago now that you haven't seen any atheists go to that extreme before. And that's literally what I was saying as well. But some way you kind of like coined that to mean that we're trying to change the narrative of this conversation. No, I'm not trying to change the narrative of the conversation. I'm just telling you from my own perspective, which I think is the point of this whole conversation. We don't always all have to agree. We're all learning, but I think you're projecting an energy of you know what it is, and other people's perspectives do not matter. Or maybe, if it doesn't align with what the way you're thinking process, then it means they're trying to change it. And we're all just trying to submit our own perspectives and our own, observations about the topic. So it is what it is. I don't mean to change anything. I'm just telling you from my own perspective that I haven't seen it. The same way Muslims, as we've known, they've been more of the violent ones. I've not seen Christians on that same level. Like I said, they it's not because they haven't got access to something that they can harm you with, or maybe punch you or fight you physically. I just
But hold on, wait. Banky, are you saying you haven't seen Christians use violence to against non-Christians in the name of Christianity? Is that what you are saying?
No, I haven't
So
seen physical violence.
would you be okay to receiving examples?
Of course, I'm open to it.
Okay,
Obviously, that's the open of the conversation.
have you heard about the Spanish Inquisition? Have you heard about the Salem witch trials? Have you heard about the Crusades?
When you're giving me examples, can you give me your references? When did they happen?
When did they happen?
What?
Salem witch trials is like, Salem witch trials is about 100 years ago.
Slavery.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
Colonization.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So is the conversation
Anti-LGBT laws in Nigeria, which is being bombed in Igbo land in Nigeria, the gay people being killed in Uganda under the Christian-sponsored anti-LGBT laws. Aren't those laws anti-Balaka? The laws with the Resistance Army. Are they not all Christian organizations? KKK, are they not all Christian organizations?
Well, okay, wait a minute. You've modeled up the conversation now. The context of the conversation, I don't think is based on history. I think you're talking about the present day, right?
Dude, everything in the present day is reflected on history.
I just mentioned present day.
Wait. When I'm talking, I'm asking questions.
What is Nigeria?
I'm just asking for clarity. You don't need to come at me. I'm just asking for clarity, yeah?
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, John, I want to say something.
Hold on. The anti-LGBT laws in Nigeria, who sponsored it?
Sorry. So
I don't
are
know.
you saying Christians sponsored the anti-LGBTQ laws?
No, it was.
Okay, sorry guys. I think I need to step in here, right? So there are some things that I don't allow when I am moderating a room. And I don't allow people unmuting themselves. I'm just speaking when somebody else is speaking. It disrupts the room. It makes the conversation very rowdy. And I like the way we have been having a calm conversation ever. So if you want to say something in response to what someone is saying, please flash your mic, right? Shmuel, you have done that a lot. So sorry for calling you out.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So just flash your mic so that we could have a meaningful conversation. Yeah, Oreoluwa, I would allow you to say what you want to say, but I just want Inyua, please just finish up so that we could move on. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm just saying it's very, very hypocritical that Banky is saying that you haven't seen in present day where I would like to say that you're Nigerian, where Nigeria literally has an anti-LGBT laws by a Christian president. Christian legislature and Muslim legislature. These are all religious people with religious sentiments. Their reasons for not passing it is based on their religious affiliations. And we talk about witches. Okay, do you know just in Ibadan? I don't know if you guys know about that video in Ibadan that is circulating now that someone turned babies into fowl, right? Into yam. That they locked up the person. It's due to beliefs like this. You can. But anyways, I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Banky, sorry. Before I allow you to finally respond, Justin, I see you flash your mic, but it's going to be your turn to speak now, so you just use all that. So Banky, before I allow you to finally respond, Oreoluwa, please give your response. Then we'll go back to Banky. Then we'll go ahead.
Okay, so my response on that is that in the definition of that, in definition of terrorism, there is like strict pointing to political ideologies. This is all about political power. So anti-LGBTQ laws, example of terrorism. Anti-abortion laws, examples of terrorism. So I just wanted to put that out there. Another thing I wanted to say is where you talk about history, as if slavery, colonization are not affecting Africa today. It's an example of terrorism and we are feeling the effects. It was a nuclear bomb that went and we are feeling the radiation. So that's basically what I wanted to say. And again, don't forget that in the Old Testament, there is stone a witch to death and suffer not this person to live. I don't understand how you are holding the same Bible. The Bible, we are still holding it, and that's what is written there. So basically, yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Tope. Yeah, Banky, please quickly give your responses to that, and I'll move on to Justin.
I don't really have much to say, to be honest, because it seems like we're having two different conversations here, in my own opinion. I'm open to learning. I'm open to you, but it looks like, rather than you trying to enlighten me, you're just trying to railroad the narrative. At the end of the day, this kind of conversations are there for a reason, for people to learn and to understand. If you have your facts and evidences and you want to make references to things, make it clear. Now, Rant has just said something now which has enlightened me. I wasn't aware that the non-LGBT laws were being perpetrated by Christians specifically. Now, if we want to take it down to the road, to the political route, Nigerians, so many things in Nigeria don't make sense. So, but for you to say that it's terrorism, yeah, in some context, by the literal definition of terrorism, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But when you say terrorism, that's not what jumps at me. There's a root to everything. There's a root cause to everything. Nigeria as a country has been a certain way for so long, and if they're saying, okay, this is what we've always been used to, we don't want this, it's open for it's open for discussion. It's open for legislation for years or whatever. Maybe it would change, maybe it wouldn't change. But at this point, I don't know. I don't know if it's terrorism or not. That they're not allowing people to live the lives that they themselves have not been bold enough to live for so long. And until the laws have been passed in other countries, and we're trying to jump on the wagon now. Now you're taking it to the extreme to say it's terrorism. Why didn't you say that for ages? There's been gay people in Nigeria for so long, but they themselves, they've not been able to be bold enough to come out and say they are gay until when the international community and people, and it looks like it's trendy now. No, maybe trendy is using a loose word. I don't want to say trendy, but now people are getting their voice now, which they're entitled to. I'm not a dogmatic Christian. I don't want you to see me like that. I'm open to learning. I'm still as confused as fuck with this whole journey on world and the way the world rotates. But I think we should always leave room for learning and not just trying to get each other's neck and say somebody's trying to do this. It's a conversation that's supposed to enlighten, and they could come up with a bit of we can disagree, but to kind of demean people or laugh at people because they're trying to state their way or what they think or their understanding of things, I think is a bit immature. Even you as a moderator, even you as an atheist, you were a Christian before. Now you're an atheist. Right, okay. You've seen the other side. You decide to go with the other side. That's fine. Who knows what you're going to become in 5 years? We don't know. Okay, so we are all evolving as people and should give that room for people to evolve. You don't need to scorn people just because you don't agree with them. That's what I'm going to say.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you haven't subscribed, please check out Apple, Spotify, Google, the Ranting Atheist. The links are in the show note below. Then if you want to join Clubhouse and link up with us in the different clubs we host rooms like this, the links are in the show note below. We have the Nigerian Atheist, we have Free Thinkers, we have Atheism versus Abrahamics. So if you'd like to join any one of them, please check them. The links are in the show note below. Anyway, have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.